But the flower was not satisfied to complete the preparation for her beauty in the shelter of her green chamber. She chose her colors with the greatest care. She dressed herself sorely. She adjusted her feathers one by one. She did not wish to go out into the world all rumpled. Like the feathers flopping, it was only in the full radiance of her beauty that she wished to appear. Oh yes, she was a covetous creature, and her mysterious adornment lasted for days and days. Then one morning, exactly at sunrise, she suddenly showed herself, and after working with all this shocking precision, she yawned and said, "Oh, I'm scarcely awake. I beg that you will excuse me. My feathers are still all disordered." But the little prince could not restrain his admiration. "Oh, how beautiful you are! Am I not?" the flower responded sweetly. "And I was born at the same moment as the sun." The little prince could grasp easily enough that he was not any too modest. But how moving and extinct she was. "I think it is time for breakfast," she added an instant later. "If you would have the kindness to think on my niece." And the little prince completely advised went to look for a sprinkling can of fresh water. So he tended the flower. So too she began very quickly to torment him with her vanity, which was, if the truth be known, a little difficult to deal with. When she was sprinkling of her thorns, she said to the little prince, "Let the tiger come with their claws." "There are no tigers on my planet," the little prince objected, "and always, anyway, tigers do not eat weeds." "I am not a weed," the flower replied sweetly. "Please excuse me. I am not at all afraid of tigers," she went on, "but I have a honor over traps. I suppose you wouldn't have a scene for me. A honor of draft. That is bad luck for a planet," remarked the little prince, and added to himself, "This flower is a very complex creature. At night I want you to put meat under a glass globe. It is very cold where you live, in the place I came from." But she interrupted herself at that point. She had come in a form of a seed. She could not have known anything of any other words. Embarrassed over having let herself be caught on the verge of such a naive understood, she cursed 2 or 3 times in order to put the little prince in the room. The scenes I was just going to look for it when you spoke to me. When she forced her coat a little more to that he should suffer from remorse just the same. I believe that for his escape, he took the adventure of the migration of a flock of wild birds. On the morning of his departure, he put his planet in perfect order. He carefully cleaned out his active volcanoes. He possessed two active volcanoes, and they were very convenient for eating his breakfast in the morning. He also had one volcano that was extinct, but as he said, one never knows. So he cleared out the extinct volcano too. If they are well cleaned out, the volcanoes burn slowly and steadily, without any eruption. Volcanic eruptions are like a fire in the chimney. On our Earth, we are obviously most too small to clean out our volcanoes. That is why they bring no end to trouble upon us. The little prince also pulled up with a certain sense of direction. The last little shoots of baobabs. He believed that he would never want to return, but on this last morning, all this familiar task seemed very precious to him, and when he wanted the flower for the last time, and prepared to place her under the shelter of her grass grove, he realized that he was very close to tears. "Goodbye," he said to the flower, but she made no answer. "Goodbye," he said again. The flower coughed, but it was not because she had a cold. "I have been silly," she said to him at last. "I asked you forgiveness. Try to be happy." He was surprised by this a sense of response. He stood there all bewildered. The grass globe had arrested in midair. He did not understand this quiet sweetness. "Of course I love you," the flower said to him. "It is my fault that you have not known it all the while." So the little prince, in spite of all the good will that was inseparable from his love, had soon came to doubt her. He had taken seriously words which were without importance, and it made him very unhappy. I ought not to have listened to her, he confided to me one day. One never ought to listen to a flower. One should simply look at them and read their fragrance. Many perfumed all my planet, but I did not know how to take pleasure in all her grass. This tear of cross, which disturbed me so much, should only have spared me my heart with tenderness and pity. And he continued his confidence. The fact is that I did not know how to understand anything. I ought to have just by this and not by words. She cast her presence and her radiance over me. I ought never to have run away from her. I ought to have grasped all the affection that lay behind her poor little arrangements. Powers are so inconsistent. I was too young to know how to love her. That is of no importance, but you have been just as foolish as I. Try to be happy. Let the grass grow big. I don't want it anymore. But the wind, my coat is not so bad as all that. The cold night air will do me good. I am a flower. But the animals, well, I must endure the appearance of 2 or 3 caterpillars if I wish to become actionable with the butterflies. It seems that they are very beautiful, and if not the butterflies and the caterpillars who will call upon me, you will be far away. As for the large animals, I am not at all afraid of any of them. I have my cross, and bravely she should her 4 thorns. Then she added, "Don't linger like this. You have decided to go away. Now go." For she did not want him to see her crying. She was such a proud flower. He found himself in a neighborhood of the asteroid 325, 326, 327, 328, 329, and 300. 330. He began, therefore, by visiting them in order to add to his knowledge. The first of them was inhabited of a king, crowned by a royal purple and armor. He was seated upon a throne which was at the same time both simple and majestic. "Ah, here is a subject," exclaimed the king when he saw the little prince coming. And the little prince asked himself, how could he recognize me when he had never seen me before? He did not know how the world is simply prepared for kings. To them, all man is a subject. "Approach so that I may see you better," said the king, for fear consumingly proud of being at last a king over somebody. The little prince looked everywhere for find a place to sit down, but the entire planet was claimed as and obstructed by the king's magnificent ermined robe. So he remained standing upright, and since he was tired, he yawned. It is contrary to etiquette to yawn in the presence of a king. The marshal said to him, "I forbid you to do so." "I can't help it. I can't stop myself," replied the little prince, showing embarrassed. "I have come on a long journey, and I have had no sleep. Ah, then the king said, I order you to yawn. It is years since I have seen anyone yawning. Yawn to me, an object of curiosity. Come now, yawn again. It is an order. That frightened me. I cannot anymore, mumbled the little prince, not completely abashed. Replied the king. Then I order you sometimes to yawn and sometimes to. He stopped it a little and seemed vexed. For what the king fundamentally insisted upon was that he authority should be respected. He tolerated no dispensation. He was an absolute monarchist. But because he was a very good man, he made his orders reasonably. If I order a general, he would say, by way of example, if I order a general to change himself into a seabird, and if the general I did not obey me, that would not be the fault of the general. It will be my fault. May I sit down? Came now a timid inquiry from the little prince. I order you to do so, the king answered him, and a majestical gathered in the floor of his eminent mentor. But the little prince was wondering. The planet was tiny. Over what could the king really rule? Sure, he said to him, I beg that you will excuse me asking you a question. I order you to ask me a question. The king hesitated to assure him. Sir, over what do you rule? Over everything, said the king with a magnificent simplicity. Over everything, the king made a gesture which took in his planet, the other planets, and all the stars. Over all that, asked the little prince. Over all that, the king answered, for his rule was not only absolute, it was also universal. And the stars obey you? Certainly they do, the king said. They obey instantly. I do not permit insubordination. Such power was a thing for the little prince to marvel at. If he had been master of such a complete authority, he would have been able to watch the sunset not 44 times on one day, but 72 or even 100 or even 200 times, without ever having to move his chair. And because he felt a bit sad as to remember his little planet which he had forsaken, he plucked up his courage to ask the king a favor. I should like to see a sunset. Do me take kindness, order the sun to set. If I order a general to fly from the power to another like a butterfly, or to write a magical drama, or to change himself into a seabird, and if the general did not carry out the order that he had received, which one of his would be in the wrong? The king demanded. The general or myself? You, said the little prince firmly. Exactly. One must require from each one the duty which each one can perform. The king went on, except an authority reset first of all reason. If you ordered your people to go and throw themselves into the sea, they would rise up in revolution. I have the right to require evidence because my orders are reasonable. Then my son said, the little prince reminded him, for he never forgot a question once he had asked it. You shall have your sunset. I shall command it. But according to my sense of government, I shall wait until conditions are favorable. When will that be? Inquired the little prince. Replied the king, and before saying anything else, he consulted a book arithmetic. That will be about that will be this evening about 20 minutes to 8, and you will see how well I'm obeying. The little prince yawned. He was resenting his roast sunset, and then too he was already beginning to be a little bored. I have nothing more to do here, he said to the king, so I shall set out on my way again. Do not go, said the king, who was very proud of having a subject. Do not go. I will make you a minister. Minister of what? Minister of justice. But there is nobody here to judge. We do not know what that. The king said to him, I have not yet made a complete tour of my kingdom. I am very old. There is no room here for a carriage, and it tires me to walk. Oh, but I have looked already, said the little prince, turning around to give one more glance to the other side of the planet. On the side as on this there was nobody at all. Then you should judge yourself, the king answered. That is the most difficult thing of all. It is much more difficult to judge oneself than to judge others. If you succeed in judging yourself rightly, then you are indeed a man of true wisdom. Yes, said the little prince, but I can judge myself anyway. I do not need to live on this planet. Said the king. I have good reasons to believe that somewhere on my planet, there is an old rat. I hear him at night. You can just it all rat. From time to time, you will condemn him to death. Thus, his life will depend on your justice. But you will pardon him on each occasion, for he must be treated justly. He is the only one we have. I, replied the little prince, do not like to condemn anyone to death. And now, I think I will go on my way. No, said the king. But the little prince, having no complaint, his preparation for departure, and no wish to grave the old monarchs. If your majesty wishes to be promptly obeyed, he said, he should be able to give me a reasonable order. He should be able, for example, to order me to be gone by the end of 1 minute. It seems to me that the conditions are favorable. As the king made no answer, the little prince hesitated a moment, then with a sigh he took his leave. I make you my ambassador. Ambassador, the king called out hastily. He had a magnificent air of authority. The grown-ups are very strange, the little prince said to himself as he continued on his journey. The second planet was inhabited by a consentent man. I am about to receive a visit from an admiral, he exclaimed for a part when he first saw the little prince coming. For to consent man or other man or admiral. Good morning, said the little prince. That is the choir hat you are wearing. It is a hat from Celeste. The constant man replied. It is raised in thought when people acclaim me. Unfortunately, nobody at all ever passes this way. Yes, said the little prince, who did not understand what the constant man was talking about. Clap your hands, once against another. The constant man now directed him. The little prince clapped his hands. The constant man raised his hat in the modest threat. This is more interesting than the visit to the king, the little prince said to himself, and he began again to clap his hands, one against another. The constant man again raised his hat in the insert. After 5 minutes of this exercise, the little prince grew tired of the game monotony. And what should one to do make the head come down? He asked. But the constant man did not hear him. Conceited people never hear anything but praise. Do you really admire me very much? He demanded of the little prince. What does that mean, admire? To admire means that you regard me as the handsomest, the best dresser, the richest, and the most intelligent man on the planet. But you are the only man on your planet. Do me this kindness, admire me just the same. I admire you, said the little prince, shrugging his shoulders slightly. But what is there is that to interest you so much. And the little prince went away. The grown-ups are certainly very old, he said to himself as he continued on his journey. The next planet was inhabited by a typer. This was a very short visit, but it plunged the little prince into deep dejection. What are you doing there? He said to the typer, whom he found sitting down in silence before a collecting of empty bottles and also a collection of full bottles. I'm drinking, replied the typer with a lugubrious air. Why are you drinking? demanded the little prince. So that I may forget, replied the typer. Forget what? inquired the little prince, who already was sorry for him. Forget that I am ashamed, the typer confessed, hanging his head. Ashamed of what? insisted the little prince, who wanted to help him, ashamed of drinking. The tiger brought his speech to an end, and shut himself up in an imperturbable silence. And the little prince went away puzzled. The grown-ups are certainly very, very odd, he said to himself as he continued on his journey. The fourth planet belonged to a businessman. The man was so much equipped that he did not even raise his head at the little prince's arrival. "Good morning," the little prince said to him. Your cigarette has gone out. 3 and 2 makes 5. 5 and 7 makes 12. 12 and 3 makes 15. Good morning. 15 and 7 makes 22. 22 and 6 makes 28. I have time to write it again. 26 and 5 make 31. Phew. Then that makes 501,622,731. 500 million what? Asked the little prince. Are you still there? 501 million. I can't stop. I have too much to do. I'm concerned with matters of consequence. I don't amuse myself with bullshit. 2 and 5 make 7. 501 million what? Replied the little prince, who never in his life had let go of the question once he had asked it. The businessman raised his head. During the 54 years that I have inhabited this planet, I have been disturbed only 3 times. The first time was 22 years ago when some giddy goose fell from goodness knows where. He made the most frightful noise that resounded all over the planet, all over the place, and I made 4 mistakes in my addition. The second time 11 years ago. I was disturbed by an attack of rheumatism. I don't get enough exercise. I have no time for rafting. The entire time, well, this is it. I was saying then, 501 millions. Millions of what? The businessman suddenly realized that there was no hope of being left in peace until he answered this question. Millions of those little objects, he said. Which one is sometimes seen in the sky? Fires? No, oh no, glittering objects. Bees? Oh no, little golden objects that set the lazy man to idle dreaming. As for me, I'm concerned with matters of consequence. There is no time for idle dreaming in my life. Ah, you mean the stars? Yes, that is it. The stars. And what do you do with 500 millions of stars? 501,622,731. I am concerned with matters of consequence. I am accurate. And what do you do with these stars? What do I do with them? Yes, nothing. I own them. You own the stars? Yes. But I have already seen a king who kings do not own. They reign over. It is a very different matter. And what good does it do you to own the stars? It does not. It does me the good of making me rich. And what good does it do you to be rich? It makes it possible for me to buy more stars, if any are discovered. This man, the little prince said to himself. Reason a little like my poor Typher.